So here we are at the Casa Cultura. My name's Paul, even though you can't see me. And so we have here, who's here now sitting at the table?
Oh,
so
we have, Alexandro and I are Aparato, and then on this side we have
Myra and Marco, and we are the Eh-Meh-Ceh project.
And Marco has been the grounding force between both of the groups this entire 3 weeks of the tour. So give it up for Marco Cortez, holding it down and being the most gentle and what do you call it, participatory person. Anything goes with him so far, whether he liked it or not.
That's very true.
So how's it feel to be back in Dario, playing in front of your crowd? Do you want to play in other different locations to bring more of your music over here? Or from California point of view, is it different from California or over here, the music scene? I know that's not a question.
Everything, I don't know, this has been my favorite show. I think I felt a different kind of warmth here. Just to come home and perform. It was kind of funny because folks were asking me like, why'd you come here? I'm like, why not? I'm from here, you know? But also it's been a real blessing to play in places like, to play in Portland for like the Rock Camp for Girls, which Kat and Maida are really very devoted to. So that was incredible. That was the first time when we left Southern California and had like a really great crowd. Portland was amazing, Seattle was amazing, to perform in Vancouver, Canada, and see how it's like to cross the border here, you know. Playing in Austin on Friday night was completely awesome. Playing in San Antonio last night to a crowd that was like, half of it was like totally into it, the other half was just like, these people are kind of weird. You know, so I mean, it's really cool, and it's I don't know, it's really, it's very meaningful to me, for me to end this part of the tour here in my hometown, Del Rio.
When I was filming and taking pictures, you were using like both field where everybody was using different type of instruments, from the computer, from the drums, different type of guitars. Is that where you're trying to bring out your music, using different instruments, different type of things to promote different types of music that you're trying to hit, like from the younger, older generations, and put them all together?
Well, we play las jaranas in our group. We play the jarana jarocha and the jarana huasteca, and I think Alex had the concept of using these traditional Mexican instruments and using them in a rock band format. And for me, I like them because when I was growing up, my dad would drive us to Veracruz, and we would listen to son jarocho, and we would actually see the groups, you know, playing at the port of Veracruz. So it just brings back warmth to me to be able to touch those instruments, because it just reminds me of my childhood driving, and you know, entre las curvas íbamos para Veracruz. So it was really nice, and it just adds this different textures and just different colors into the music. Just the sound of each instrument is beautiful, and it's unique. It's its own voice, and it's really nice to just kind of put it out there, our culture, you know, the cultures of Mexico, like the different sounds of Mexico, and put it into the rock band format, because we were raised with like metal and punk and all that stuff, you know, but we also want to connect to our roots, or to where our families are from in Mexico or Oaxaca, wherever, you know. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing that we're doing. And you want to add to it? Naida, what do you use?
I mean, I play electronic music, and I pretty much just like program a bunch of sounds into the computer, and it takes forever. It takes me about a month to complete one song.
Wow.
To just write one song and engineer and like make it sound like pretty okay, I think. And it's very interesting to me to think that there's not a lot of ladies, you know, like women that do that are like willing to just experiment with a computer and, you know, get out there and play. So the premise of that, and like representing women in the music scene, is like a huge thing. And like my music is very like simple and not complicated at all. But it's really empowering to be able to do that, you know, for me, and also like share it with people. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of Aparato, and so just to be able to, you know, play with them is kind of like really mind-blowing. So yeah.
When I was listening to your music, it reminded me like from 80s and 90s club music, like the New Order, Duran Duran, stuff like that. I'm thinking, yeah, it's cool, I love that. It has a tone to it. So whenever you're probably making your new music, you listen to all types of genre stages. That's what I like. And then everybody else in general was like everybody had a beat, everybody had a music, you know. Even though that when you're dancing, remind me like from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I'm like that is cool. And then when you're drumming, it's like you're like, but everybody has their little montage type of thing, like characters that they remember when they're small and growing up. It's like, yeah, that's a character I remember. That's cool. So, are you? Last question, because I know you guys are hungry. So, one thing, and I always ask every band members, if you're trying to hit for the viewers, especially the young people, what do you want to say to them? You know, one thing is like mentioning is like never give up, do something positive within the music. So,
I'll take a turn to say something.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll start. I'll say just express yourself. Don't be afraid to try something different, and just express yourself to the fullest, no matter what that is.
Well, I'm not really sure what to say to kids, but I will say what I kind of wish someone had told me when I was younger, is to just really explore music, because I didn't really start to actively look for music until much later. I was pretty comfortable in what I was listening to, so I guess my advice would be to really try to inform yourself, not just in music, in arts, and any subject that might be interesting to you, because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of value in other things that you might not think there would be.
yeah.
Thinking of a lot of things. I might get a little preachy here, but you know, actually, I think a lot of us in the band, whether in this touring quartet here, we are pretty. There's like an image of being in bands. There's an image of the rock star and the drugs and drinking and all these things, and we've come across that while we've been on tour. But like I, for one, even when I was here in high school in Del Rio, I made a pledge to myself that I was going to be straight edge for the rest of my life. So I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I'm not trying to like treat women and try to sleep around or anything like that, objectify women in that way. So there is a way to be extremely creative without any of those substances should you want to go that way. You know, it's an option for you. You don't have to fall into those pressures. And I think there's great value into that kind of resistance. The second thing I want to say too, for all of, especially from here in Del Rio, you know, I started in community college here. I went to high school here. From there, I went to UTSA. From UTSA, I went over to UCLA, and I just received my PhD at UCLA. And I just want to tell all the youth out here, and even adults, everybody, especially women too, is that it's definitely very possible. And that's another thing. Whether you have a dream in music or you have a dream in education, I did both, fortunately. And I'm corajudo. No, not corajudo. I realized that even at being in these institutions, that it's not so much the intelligence, but the coraje to go through with it. Especially because a lot of these institutions aren't made for us, for Mexicanos, for people of color, for women. Women get degraded all the time in higher education. And you have to have the coraje to get through with it, because that degree is super important. And there is a way to merge music, our dreams in music and education. So I want to put that out there.
Yeah. Well, what I kind of want to piggyback on what Kat says, like really like be resilient and you know, just like believing that whatever you have to say is relevant in the world. It doesn't matter what it is. And for everybody, but especially for young women, who are, you know, like many times just like being, you know, shy or like very self-conscious of like how they look because of like what society teaches that is the right way to look or the right way to like behave. And like my biggest advice is always to be yourself and don't be afraid to just say whatever you need to say as long as you're not offending anybody. And yeah, and like lastly, I just really want to thank everybody here at Casa Cultura, Lupita and Alex for bringing us here, because the Rio like rocks, and it was like probably the best show that we've had. Like seriously, like so much energy and love, and I'm just going home like really inspired to keep writing music and hopefully be back in this town soon.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think, with all honesty, the types of spaces that we perform back home in LA and Orange County are like places like this, like La Casa de la Cultura. Mayra had mentioned el Centro Cultural de Mexico in Santana. In LA, there's so many different places. The Anti-Mall, we performed that, things like that. We played in Santana, right?
Yeah.
But it came out of LA. So we're used to these community spaces where there isn't a stage, there isn't a separation between us and the audience, and I think that's why also not only is this my hometown, but we feel at home in these types of places. So thank you, Casa de la Cultura, thank you, Lupita, and so thank you, Del Rio, Texas.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers.
Bam.
There we go. This is Paul, and this is the first episode for Middle Shop. And we'll be seeing you guys. The next interview will be Michael Graves coming this Saturday at the Popple Theater at 7 o'clock. So hopefully everybody from their punk stages. And these guys, you'll see him in a couple days on the YouTube. And what you guys are, name your names again.
Aparato.
And the Eh-Meh-Ceh project.
There we go.
Rock and roll.
Ciao.
Ahí les va, la bamba tradicional.